Hello everyone. Welcome back to designing AI-driven personalized and adaptive learning environments. I'm Aditya Rajmane and we're going to start with the unit number 3.6, which is demo of item response theory, IRT. So we looked at what item response theory is, how important it is, how it has been learned in psychology. It is used in many kinds of computer adaptive tests like GRE and CAT. Let's look at it in action and see how actually we can compute things using item response theory. So we're going to look at a few different terms and we're going to understand how they are working, and then we are going to actually compute. The first term that we are going to look at is called as BJ voting. So it is the average difficulty of the jth course material. Over here, we are going to assume J as one of the item which is over there. If you're attempting any kind of any kind of question which is a competitive exam, the question itself, we can assume it as an item. So the answer that you give to the item number A in this is called as the jth course material. Nij is number of learners that give feedback responses belong to the ith difficulty level of the jth course material. That means that the difficulty level of the jth course material, let's say, is 1, which is about neutral to slightly hard. So we might have 4 out of 15 responders give the response as number 1. So Nij is 4. Nj is the total number of learners that rate the jth course material. Over here it is 15. So let's see how we can compute BJ voting. For this, I'm going to use an Excel document which was created by the Learning Analytics Lab at the Center for Educational Technology, IIT Bombay. Here is an Excel sheet. Over here, we have an initial count. We have these different learners which have given these different responses. Over here, I have 15 learners. In this Excel sheet, I can add or remove learners as I wish. As I said before, different items over here can have different kinds of responses. Over here, learner 1 has given a response of -2. That means the learner 1 for item number A has found it really difficult. Learner 2 for item A has given a response of -1. So what does my Bij formula tells me? BJ voting formula tells me that we have to count the sum of all the items ranging from 1 to ranging from 1 to 5 of Nij over Nj multiplied by the difficulty level. So in simple terms, I'm just going to see how many over people have given -2, the count of learners which have given -2, and then the product of these two numbers. So -2 is given by 3 learners, the product is -6. -1 is given by 5 learners, the product is -5, so on and so forth. And then I'm going to compute the sum, which is -5 of all these products. What I'm essentially doing is this step over here. I'm multiplying these two terms. So what I've gotten is, I've gotten the sum as -5, and I'm multiplying -2 and -3, which is over here -6, and then I've got the sum. Now I'm going to divide this sum by 15 to get my BJ voting. So the answer is -0.33. So that's how I got BJ voting. Now let's look at a logic or logistic function. Over here, we are looking at the exponent, and we are subtracting something called as BJ tuned. So let's see how we can compute this BJ tuned. BJ tuned is the weight that we can give times BJ initial plus 1 minus weight times BJ voting. So my difficulty level, at first I'm going to assume something. I'm going to assume my difficulty level over here as 1 for all the questions, and I'm going to assume my weight as 0.8. I'm just going to simply plug in 1 and 0.8 in my formula. I've got BJ voting as negative 0.3. So I'm going to put in BJ voting as negative 0.33 times 1 minus 0.8 plus BJ initial was 1, 0.8 was my weight, and I'm going to compute the answer, which I'm going to get as 0.733. And that's going to be my BJ tune. It is the tune difficulty of the course material. Now let's try to find the logit or the logistic function. I've got this sum, I've got this BJ voting and BJ tune. Over here, theta is the learner ability. What does this tells us is, a learner over here for me is a -2, -1, 0, 1 or 2. Theta can also be a decimal point. We can have a learner with ability of maybe negative 0.7. But just for the sake of showing this table, I have kept theta as integers. My next thing that I'm going to compute is theta minus BJ tuned, so that I can easily exponent it by E. So over here, my theta minus BJ tune is this, and I've got PJ theta, which is over here as 0.061. Here I'm going to get my PJ theta. I'm also going to count QJ theta, which is 1 minus PJ theta, over here as 0.939. My QJ theta is given. Why do we need PJ theta and QJ theta? We're going to see in the next step. We are going to compute our learner ability. So now here we have computed all the PJ theta and QJ theta. So let's see how we can compute the current learner's ability. So we have now seen that item A, the learner's ability is 2 and the learner has attempted it wrong. So we're going to see if the learner has attempted for the ability 2 and the learner has attempted it wrong, what the learner should get. So here we can see for item A, the learner's ability is 2, the learner has attempted it wrong. So we are going to assume it is QJ theta, which is 0.220. I'm just going to put here. If it's PJ or QJ based on 0 or 1, I'm going to put it. For item B, the learner has attempted it correct. So I'm going to go to the item B table. I'm going to put in the correct response, which is 1. I'm going to put in the correct response, which is PJ theta, and I'm going to see the current ability of the learner, which is 2. So item B, since the current ability is 2, I'm going to go to this row and I'm going to see 1, that is PJ theta, which is 0.776. So on and so forth, I'm going to look at for item C and item D, and then we're going to compute the learner ability, which is multiplying all the PJ theta or QJ theta which they have so far of attempting these 4 questions, and this is the final learner ability. Why is this useful in adaptation? Now you have the current learner ability as 0.10, you can put it on top, and then you can dynamically compute PJ theta and QJ theta, and based on that you can give a relative score of how the learner is answering. Hence, item response theory is very essential when it comes to providing an adaptive content. I will now show you all a tool that the lab has created for you all to compute item response theory a little bit more better. Here is a tool that is created by the Center for Educational Technology at IRT Bombay for computing item response theory. Here is an interactive demo. When we click on what is in the demo, we can see what is item response theory, what is theta, what is BJ initial, BJ voting. So what we are going to look at is three different parts: difficulty, probability, and likelihood. So let's dive a little bit more further in this tool. This tool will be available on the page. It's a simple HTML page. You can double click on it and it opens in any browser. It says I need to upload my CSV. So I'm going to click on browse and I'm going to upload a CSV. So I'm going to open the file that I have already pre-made. So this is the test file that I'm going to show you all. I'll also quickly open so you all can see what is inside the test file. Here there's nothing. I've added 10 learners, and for item A, what was the response? 1, 2, 0, -1, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upload this file inside the tool, and I'm going to put my theta and my weight. So I'm going to put my initial theta, let's say, as 1. I'm going to put my weight as, let's say, 1.5. And I'm going to compute. Over here, it asks me, what's your BJ initial? I'm going to give BJ initial everything as 1. I can even go down to 0.5 for some. And I can compute the difficulty. You all can see the BJ tuned is changed based on the value of my BJ initial. Now it says what's your theta table. This is the same table that I showed you all in the Excel. For different kinds of theta, it is giving a different table, and I can put in the response of the student. So if I put in the response as wrong, 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 and I can compute the likelihood of the learner can get the next answer correct or incorrect. It says it's 0, but if I get all the answers correct, it gives me 0.37, so it's increasing. Hence, based on the item, based on the current theta, we can compute what is the likelihood, what is the product of possibilities across all the probabilities of the student which is attempting this question. This is an interactive tool which can help you see and compute IRT in much likely scenarios such as multiple choice questions. Over here inside the CSV file, we can add, subtract and delete learners. So for this particular demo, we are giving you all two different kinds of scaffolds. Over here I have this Excel sheet in which you can compute IRT, as well as we have the CSV file and we have the interactive demo in which you can see how IRT works. I hope this clears your doubts about IRT. Thank you so much. Have a good day.